So there is the look at Fantasy Springs. That is what is out there this evening. A beautiful evening. As you heard Gabriel Ellis as he prepares for this fight with Azuma Nelson, a fight that he so badly wants to win. But before we get to that, the WBO Junior Bantamweight title. Johnny Tapia taking on Willie Salazar. It is a match that should be an interesting one. Willie Salazar coming in here off a very big win over Danny Romero, the man that many people thought would be the big match with Johnny Tapia. Tapia, a man who won the WBO Junior Bantamweight title in a sea of emotion in Albuquerque. Mentioned when he beat Henry Martinez. Dave, you and I were there for that evening, and I dare say, I can speak for myself, and maybe you'll speak for yourself and agree with me, have never seen a more emotional evening in boxing.
I speak for myself as well, Al. That was quite a night with the fans there. Johnny Tapia played off those fans, too. Really got them involved in what was going on, and it helped him against Martinez. This was a good look at it. The crowd was rocking. They're on their feet here, and Johnny Tapia was waving to them with his glove throughout this fight, bringing on very much an emotional fighter.
That was back in October of 1994. He has since defended that title on 4 different occasions. One was a technical draw. He is still the WBO champion. He fights on pure emotion.
I've never seen him come back to that level of emotion since that fight. It's very difficult to come back to it anyway. But interestingly, in 1994, almost all knockout victories, and in 1995, all decision victories. And for Johnny Tapia fighting away from home, he has not had that same emotional input. We'll see if he gets it now as he fights more often in California, where he has moved.
That is his wife, who is holding the belt aloft. His troubles with her have even been a part of the never-ending soap opera revolving around Johnny Tapia. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape as we get prepared for this fight.
Johnny Tapia, 28, Salazar a little bit older, the height the same, weight the same. We'll see Tapia with a reach advantage in this fight that he'll try to utilize. In the WBO, 10 points to the winner, 3 knockdowns in a round would end it. No standing 8 in there. A fighter can be saved by the bell in the last round only.
So you've got the rules. We have gotten you up to date on how Johnny Tapia got to this world title. Now, let's go up to Michael Buffer to kick things off.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Top Rank Incorporated, along with your undisputed king of beers, Budweiser, this Bud for you presents another World Championship bout. Once again, sanctioned by the California State Athletic Commission, also by the World Boxing Organization. President Francisco Barcastel, WBO supervisor at ringside is Rudy Paz. The 3 judges scoring this bout will be Lou Moret, Aaron Kaiser, and Juan Baez. And when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action, referee Raul Caiz. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the blue trimmed with gold and white, and weighing in at 114 pounds. His professional record, 42-21, with 1 draw, 29 KOs to his credit. Ladies and gentlemen, from Guadalajara, Mexico, introducing the challenger, Willie Salazar. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the turquoise trimmed with black, and weighing in at 115 pounds. His professional record, 32-0, with 2 draws, 18 KOs. He comes to us from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the undefeated WBO Junior Bantamweight Champion of the World, the baby-faced assassin, Johnny Tapia.
Hagan caso a los las instrucciones. El huesito aquí, para abajo. Ok, huesito para abajo, golpe bajo. Golpe la mano, buena suerte.
So we're set to go here in round one. This one will be scheduled for 12, of course, for the WBO Super Bantamweight Championship of that man, Johnny Tapia, as he takes on Willie Salazar, who scored an upset win over Danny Romero, who was the arch rival of Tapia, especially when Tapia lived in Albuquerque. He's now living and training up in Big Bear, California. Many people felt, and it may still happen, that Tapia and Romero were headed for a big showdown for lots of money, lots of people watching, and Salazar upset the apple cart, didn't he?
That's why he landed here. He parlayed it very nicely. Probably brought down the marketability of that fight by about half, ruining the plans. And now Johnny Tapia not in as much of a hurry for Danny Romero. Thinks Romero will have to come to him and has resigned himself to the fact that he might not see that fight in the near future. He wants to make his way out here. And there's the right hand by Salazar. Same thing he caught Romero with.
And you know, it's ironic as we look at this. Salazar surprised Romero. What's to say he won't surprise Johnny Tapia? I mean, I'm not suggesting he's definitely going to do that, but he's obviously a fighter that can get things done.
And he's very loose. There's no pressure on him in this fight. 21 losses. He comes in as the underdog. Not very much expected of him, as in Romero, and he scored right hands in the first round of that fight. Tapia does have the reach advantage Romero did not have. We'll see if he utilizes it.
Salazar is a tall fighter. Not too many super bantamweights are taller than Johnny Tapia, though, and Salazar is. Now, Oscar De La Hoya is sitting at ringside with us. Oh, big right hand by Tapia. You have often been compared to Sugar Ray Leonard in terms of your charisma, etc., and of course you're at the beginning of your career still, but can Sugar Ray make a difference in being in the corner of Johnny Tapia and being around him?
It depends on the boxer. Like Johnny Tapia is a good listener. He's a good learner. When Robert Alcazar, my trainer, had him up in Big Bear, he was teaching them different moves, and he picked them up quickly. And now Sugar Ray Leonard is one of the best fighters out there in the world, and I believe he can show him a few moves, and hopefully they'll work tonight.
And of course, Larry Goosen is the trainer of Tapia, but Ray Leonard is very omnipresent in the whole scheme of things, involved in his management, etc., so you know he's going to make a few suggestions.
Somebody you can always go back to at certain times, too, to talk about big fight experience and what to do in certain situations.
And that might be the place where he's most valuable. Here in round one, it has been kind of a mixed bag for both fighters, both landing some good shots occasionally, but neither man taking complete control.
Tapia
Good right
has
hand.
found the spot for that, setting it up with the jab. Romero, Salazar unfazed by that.
Only seconds remaining here in round one. And it's been an intriguing first round in which neither man has been able to gain a clear advantage. Follow Johnny Tapia back to his corner. That's Larry Goosen who will chat with him, and Miguel Diaz there also.
Okay, hey. What were you doing in the gym? We're jabbing, taking our time, bobbing and weaving, okay? And getting underneath you. Getting on in here, all right? Don't be jumping in. Come on, we worked on this in the gym. You're going to be bien pintado, fíjate lo puedo hacer, ¿sí? Bien pintado. Tienes que pintarlo de abajo hacia arriba. Llavea primero.
Tapia has found a spot for the right hand. Right behind the jab, gets that in there, maybe his best punch of the round. Missed closely on a couple of others, but he's going to try to work that right hand off the jab.
You got to get the jab going. Get the show.
That's the voice of Larry Goosen as Tapia comes out here for round two against Willie Salazar. We mentioned that Johnny Tapia is training up in Big Bear now, and a popular site for fighters training, including you, Oscar. It's getting crowded up there, isn't it, the gym?
It is getting crowded. Actually, that's why I built my own gym. But it's getting popular. A lot of fighters are going up there, and it's because the altitude. The altitude helps out boxers. It's a big advantage for Tapia right now. He has that extra win, so he can go to them extra rounds.
And it is remote. Concentrate just on boxing. Some nice remove from a lot of things.
Salazar with the right off the break. Dave Von Templer there, you heard him, and of course the voice before that was Oscar De La Hoya, the IBF WBO lightweight champion. Willie Salazar, the man in the purple trunks, who came in with not an imposing 42-21-1 record, although that would be a great record if you were in the NBA or the NHL. But in boxing, people don't think it's that great. But he beat Danny Romero in his last fight, TKO in 7. He won on cuts, but in truth, it was a very close fight even before that, Dave.
There were mood swings. He hurt Romero early. Romero came back in the middle rounds, and then Salazar had turned it around a third time and had started to got back at Romero, and it was pretty much a one-point fight when it was stopped.
So not really a fluke win for Willie Salazar.
He had his first shot, and Romero came back at him, and Salazar did turn it around again. And it showed a lot of poise under pressure, and unexpected to a lot of people, but 21 losses, as we know, it depends on how you're matched.
And I'll tell you something about Willie Salazar in this fight. He's showing a lot of poise. It's a measured effort, and he is not facing a Johnny Tapia who, as you pointed out, is coming at him with the kind of energy and emotion that we have seen in other occasions.
He's fighting somebody who is trying to find the right hand to get in, setting things up with the jab, but certainly not the emotional bursts we have witnessed in other fights, and the crowd has not really played a factor here yet.
And more than that, also, not the Tapia that throw lots of combinations and hard left hooks to the body. It's a Johnny Tapia who's kind of a tentative boxer right now.
Now, we may see some of the things in this bout that we saw against Arthur Johnson with Tapia, where he's punching up, and he'll be brilliant at times and struggle at other times. What he has done more in this fight is score with right hands early than we've seen him in some other bouts. Individual right hands.
Just like Sugar Ray Leonard, he's getting involved in that. Oh, they blasted heads right, and there's a cut over the, oh my, is there a bad cut. Well, they came in, and Tapia's trying to apologize to Salazar, but whatever the motive or whatever the reason, no, there is a point being deducted from Tapia. So Raul Caiz is saying it was deliberate. And the cut is very, very bad. Let's see when they take a look at it. Says it can go on now. Point deducted from Tapia.
Well, a deliberate headbutt, we'll see now. They come together. There's nothing deliberate about that. He did get him, though, as the heads were both swinging in there, following through on both shots.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna say maybe there's a little intent there, truthfully. It's subtle. Well, let's ask Oscar. Do you think that Tapia looked like he was bringing the head up a little bit?
Johnny Tapia is just such a nice guy that he wouldn't think of doing that. I mean, it was just an intentional headbutt, I believe, in my eyes.
All right. Let's take a look at another angle. Let's take another look and see.
As the heads are coming forward here, as a follow-through, as Tapia looked like he was trying to get room to either tie up or set up his next punch, and took it a little bit too far.
I'm going to go out on a limb, and I like Johnny Tapia too, and I've known him for years. I thought that last little lift with the head was designed to inflict a little pain, but we'll see. I don't think the referee made a mistake in taking that point away. Well, a point was deducted in the last round. The cut over Willie Salazar's eye was deemed not so bad that the fight couldn't continue. We head into round 3, and just as in Johnny Tapia's career, just as in his life, there are always many subplots played out during the course of a fight. We've already got one here.
And something that we rarely see, if it's ruled an intentional headbutt, you go to the scorecards after 3 rounds of this fight, if it's an accidental butt, which causes the end of the fight. But a butt that's considered permanent could throw all that out of whack. Sometimes that leads to disqualification.
And now it's become a slugfest. And there's the Tapia that works so effectively, throwing those big left hooks and ripping shots. And that cut could have a big impact on the way Salazar fights.
If he thinks that he needs a knockout, that anything could happen to him about stopping it, he will open up and change his style, basically to make sure that the doctors and the referee don't take it away.
Tapia has had a technical draw in a fight against Vargas, against Ricardo Vargas, May 6th in 1995. This year, that's a slip for Johnny Tapia, in which he was in the fight of his life, Tapia, and it was a technical draw because of a clash of heads and a cut.
And you see with the styles why clashes of heads will occur in Tapia's fights. And here against Salazar, they're both coming forward. They're both trying to gain an edge. And when fighters don't do it with the jab, they try to do it with their head sometimes to try to close that distance.
Now, this is a different Tapia. He's fighting better in this round. He is throwing combinations, throwing punches with, as Gil Clancy, our pal, always says, with bad intentions.
Well, he's got himself a nice little distance set up here, and he's found the jab in round 3. And even though he's going over the top sometimes with Salazar, it's given him a comfortable sense of where he should be on the floor.
So under a minute left to go here in round 3. Johnny Tapia in the black trunks, defending his WBO Super Bantamweight Championship, lands an excellent right against Salazar, and another. He had a point deducted in round 2 for what the referee Raul Caiz deemed a deliberate headbutt, which caused a bad cut around the left eye of Salazar, which you can see is still bleeding. Been a very good round 3 for Tapia.
And in his case, the cleaner the better. Doesn't need to lunge. Johnny Tapia is better when he has his balance, and you see it there.
Good hook and a right hand. That'll do it for round 3. Well, in the locker room, live with Azuma Nelson, our man, Fernando Peramo.
Thank you, Al. Azuma, I have never seen you so relaxed as today. What do you expect of this fight?
I'm expecting a good fight, a tough fight.
A lot of people might say that at 37, you might be a little bit over the hill. What would you tell them?
Well, I don't know. I'm going to the ring and do my best.
Okay, you're so loose. You always this loose?
I'm always.
All right. Well, congratulations and good luck tonight.
Thank you very much.
Back to you, Al.
A stoic Azuma Nelson. He's calm but relaxed, it would appear, as he gets ready for Gabriel. That's the fight upcoming right here. This man, Willie Salazar, not only has a bad cut over his right eye, but has been nailed with some big punches by Johnny Tapia. Larry Goosen saying jab, jab, jab as we head into round 4. And Johnny Tapia did that effectively in the 3rd round. Also threw some very good body shots and power shots.
When he does do the jabbing, Tapia can get inside like he said he wanted to do beforehand and mix it up at certain times. And he's landing more right hands than we've seen him. Now he's finding that jab, and look what happens when he scores it.
Now, Tapia has an outstanding jab, always has. And in recent times has used that jab as more of a power punch. There he misses with the right hand. Since he returned to the ring in 1994, Dave mentioned he was a big power puncher in 1994. Then in this past year, 95, in 5 fights, has not scored a knockout. But he has power, make no mistake about that.
And I think that the headbutt point taken away from Johnny Tapia was a nice wake-up call for him. He's fought better since then. He stayed on the outside. He's been cleaner. He's had better balance and more control.
He misses with the hook, and even though he looked bad in doing it, Dave, I think it's a good idea for him to crank up those hooks. There's the hook to the body. I don't know that anybody in the lighter weight division throws a left hook any better than Tapia does to the body.
He's a tall man utilizing his leverage, and that's why it is so effective. And he can continue to go to it. It becomes a good weapon. And another thing is, when you're on the outside and you throw it from there, you don't get hit very easily with a counter because you're utilizing your reach in throwing a left hook that way.
Salazar told us before the fight that I'm going to try for a knockout. I think I can knock Johnny Tapia out if I do it right. Well, so far, he's been taking most of the power punches.
Tapia measuring him here now. Right hand's getting in the left hooks.
That was a legal punch. Now, Salazar is complaining. Well, they're complaining because they hit heads again. It was a legal body shot by Tapia. It's been a rough affair. The jab of Tapia, though, in the last couple of rounds has become the dominant weapon.
He can really go to work with that, and that's something, a natural advantage you should never give away.
Those of you who don't know, Johnny Tapia had a 3-year bout with alcohol and drugs. Didn't fight for almost literally 3 years, from the end of 1990 to the beginning of 1994. Then got back on track. You have to say, because it was a big part of the story, is former manager and trainer Paul Chavez, who helped him, has since parted ways, but he was a big part of Johnny Tapia getting back into boxing and being successful. And he had a very successful round 4, did this man.
Are you warmed up now? Huh?
Take me a while, man, but I'll get there.
Okay. Will you do me a favor? Anything you do, I don't give a shit what you do.
Just like you had on the
Okay, well, anything you do, I don't care what you do. Start it with the jab, end it with the...
Well, Tapia unloading here, trying to get downstairs with that hook, starting on the outside, gets the hook upstairs early in the round with Salazar. Good right hand by Tapia, gets Salazar turning away, and he starts to reload for his next sequence there. And another look, let's watch the heads again. Now, that one may have been strange. It's, boy, when the heads come together once, after that, it just looks like it can happen time and again.
Now, that time, Salazar didn't move his head away. So,
No.
see, I would look at that one and say that may be them just smacking heads because Salazar didn't take his away from Johnny Tapia. And it happens a lot in Tapia fights, and I don't think it's always Johnny Tapia's fault. I did think the first one was, but in this case, not necessarily. In any case, Tapia, as Dave so aptly put it, got a wake-up call after he had a point deducted for allegedly butting intentionally against Willie Salazar, and since then he has been a different fighter. He's been very, very successful with the jab, and I thought it was interesting what Larry Goosen said. At all good corner work, in my opinion, in between rounds, is a series of short instructions. He said, I don't care what you do, but you make sure you start with the jab and end with the jab, and really that's what Tapia needs to do.
He gave him some good instruction in there and a how-to, very short and concise. You've only got a minute there, and the guy is trying to rest as well. But for Johnny Tapia, when he's using the jab, he's not going to lose the fight.
We're in round 5 of the schedule for 12. Johnny Tapia's WBO Super Bantamweight title on the line against Willie Salazar. A man who comes in here off a surprising upset win over Danny Romero. And Oscar, this Johnny Tapia jab seems like it is taking control of this fight now.
The jab is opening the doors for Johnny Tapia to have a victory tonight, and I believe that Johnny Tapia should relax on his punches more. He's throwing too much power punches, and it's leaving himself wide open.
Loading up a little bit, huh?
I think he has been loading up a little bit more tonight at times. And that's why for him it's good to get back to the jab. We've seen some wild punching from Johnny Tapia at times tonight, which we don't normally see. But all in all, he's been able to drive Salazar back. He's got Salazar going ring post to ring post here. Salazar cannot win the fight going backward here. So Johnny Tapia does have control of him in that respect.
Under a minute left to go here in round 5. Salazar retreating a little bit more in this round. And there's the hook missing by Tapia. Now the crowd gets into it, and so does Tapia as he puts together a combination.
Johnny Tapia was waving his glove there. A little Albuquerque move for a second. It's always a sign of when he thinks he is on his game.
I think Johnny Tapia's best weapon is the double left hook to the body of the head. We only saw it a moment or so ago. I bet we've only seen it 4 or 5 times in this fight.
Very rare. And in recent fights, we haven't seen it as much.
So this has been kind of a coasting round, especially for Salazar, as Tapia pursues and didn't land a lot of great punches, but he did most of the punching that was done. There's the double left hook. He misses with the last one. You see in this picture on the left of your screen is the current temperature here is 47 degrees. A little chilly out here tonight, and they are covering Johnny Tapia with a blanket. There it is. Now, remember when we last saw that, when Sugar Ray Leonard fought Roberto Duran at Caesar's Palace in December, some years ago. And there's the man that was the beneficiary of that warmth some years ago.
You're doing fine. This is your fight. You leave the shirt on.
Well, Johnny Tapia has been on the outside controlling here. Here, a little holding behind the head, and told don't do that as a byproduct of his aggression. There's a little Albuquerque's greatest hits. That's the first time I think I've seen him do that since he's moved out here.
Absolutely, because the crowd generated that by calling out his name. Of course, that happened all the time in Albuquerque. He feeds off that emotion, and when that emotion isn't there, sometimes he may not bring it into the ring. We are happy to be bringing you this pay-per-view night, La Revancha, The Revenge. Dave Bontempo, Oscar De La Hoya, Fernando Paramo, and me, I'm Al Bernstein. We hope you're enjoying it and having a fun time wherever you're watching, whether you have some friends at your house watching or you're watching in some establishments. We hope you're having fun. And right now, Johnny Tapia is having some fun going after Willie Salazar, but Salazar fighting back.
Tapia has his temperature up a few degrees in this round here, as again he's turned on the emotional switch and let it cut loose, which can be good and bad. He's driving Salazar back, laying some left hooks, and Oscar points you made earlier, he's leaving himself open more.
He's leaving himself wide open. Right now, what I believe is Willie Salazar is trying to time Johnny Tapia. Johnny Tapia's throwing power punches. He's leaving himself wide open, and he can connect him with a right hand if he wants to.
Tapia's going for a home run on almost every shot here in this round.
He is landing some big shots against Salazar, but not the one that will totally get the job done as we approach the halfway point here in round 6.
Tapia again briefly flirting with that southpaw style, then going back as he tries to land one right hand with it.
There's that double left hook to the... Oscar, you've seen him work up close. He might have one of the best left hooks to the body in the lighter weight division.
I believe he does because he knows how to work the body and comes right back up to the head. Excellent combination.
Oscar, what do you think of guys that change styles briefly a couple times during the middle of the round and go right back? What do you think they're trying to do?
I believe it's perfect because Johnny Tapia might come out strong in one round, then he comes out boxing in the second round. It kind of takes away the game plan from Willie Salazar and it confuses him.
When he goes righty to lefty quickly then back, does he accomplish anything with that? Is he trying to show Salazar something, or is he changing his own mind?
What he does, he tries to confuse Willie Salazar because sometimes Johnny Tapia, when he throws those hard punches, kind of leaves himself wide open and he wants to turn softball in order to confuse Willie Salazar and take him away from his game plan.
Right now, Johnny Tapia is being aggressive, blocking punches, throwing tremendous shots to the body and the head. This is as good a couple of round periods we've seen from Tapia since he won this title.
And for him, it goes back many ways. He is so much better fighting on emotion than some other fighters are. He needs to get reaction. He needs the crowd into it. He needs to charge himself up. And he'll take whatever chances need to be taken in that situation.
And it's not that his technique is bad. It's just, look at those hooks downstairs. I'm telling you, Johnny Tapia does that almost better than anybody in boxing. And that left hook downstairs is debilitating to his opponents. It will be debilitating to Willie Salazar. Let's listen in again.
Hey, something like that. That's the so beautiful. Thank you. Now, that jab, you got your range with him. Every time you get your jab going, you got your range. Okay? Throw the jab, you follow with the right hand now.
Johnny, everything is okay?
Yeah, everything's okay. Good job. You got it. Good. Johnny, don't forget that jab. He's having a hard time getting away from you with that. Okay?
Well, this is why Johnny Tapia's punches are so good. Look at the angle he gets everything into that. Power comes from the hips. And watch the hips of Tapia. As they move, he gets everything into that. That's what turns a good left hook into an extraordinary left hook.
Tremendous work downstairs by Tapia, and that will take its toll as this fight continues. And in fact, we're heading into the 7th round. It is scheduled for 12. Johnny Tapia in the black trunks, the WBO super bantamweight champion who uses the sleeve of Raul Caiz to wipe off some of his Vaseline from his eye. Well, hey, the shirt was going to have to be dry cleaned anyway, wasn't it?
That's right. And, you know, all those little things that Johnny Tapia does, when you're watching him do that, that's showing his head being in the fight. All these little nuances happen when he's on top of things.
You are right, Dave. That really is an interesting point. And he is one of the more eccentric fighters in the ring, but all those little eccentricities are a byproduct of his concentration.
They are him. So when you were talking about the left hook he threw downstairs better than anybody in the division, that's how Cooney would throw his in the heavyweight divisions.
When Jerry Cooney was at his best, getting to be a good fighter, never had a chance, I don't think, to really develop the way a lot of people thought he might. That one punch, whatever you want to say about him, he threw that punch well. Under 2 minutes left to go here in round 7. Johnny Tapia starting to really take control against Willie Salazar. Now remember, Salazar beat Danny Romero. Beat him in 7 rounds. Wasn't a dominating win by Salazar because it was a fairly close fight, but he did stop the fight uncut. And now here's Tapia dominating Salazar.
I think the styles have made a different fight here because Tapia being taller and the right hand Salazar caught Romero with. He's not landing on Tapia because of Tapia's jab, which drives him back, and also the left hook. He's covering himself as he throws the left hand.
And of course, we've always looked for clues as to who might win in the Tapia-Romero fight. Well, if Salazar is tall and has a certain style and beat Romero, we're seeing Tapia clone that style, and he's beating Salazar. So that may lead people to believe that Tapia might have the upper hand against Romero. That remains to be seen, and we may never know. Danny Romero, of course, recovering from that fight. Under a minute left to go in round 7. And believe me, in my comments, I'm not suggesting that I'm going to write off Danny Romero. Wonderful young fighter who's very, very talented, and as sure as we're sitting here, we'll win some kind of championship again.
And you know how the business is, that in many people's eyes, you're as good as your last couple fights, and they stick out so much in people's minds.
I'll tell you what, Johnny Tapia is performing at the same kind of level we saw right around the time when he won the championship.
But we've seen an energy charge in him here and an emotional uplift. Had not been there as much in his recent fights.
Well, that'll do it for that round in the Johnny Tapia, Willie Salazar bout. But upcoming, that is Gabriel Ruelas, who will attempt for the 3rd time to defend his WBC Super-Featherweight title against the man who he tried to win it from back in 1993 but failed, Azuma Nelson. Of course, as you know, Gabriel is coming in off a win against Jimmy Garcia in his last fight. Everyone knows Jimmy Garcia passed away after that fight. It was emotional. It changed the life of this young man. And he will attempt to get past that tragedy as well and see if he can win tonight against a very tough foe. And even at 37, the legendary Azuma Nelson is not any pushover.
Well, we've been talking about the left hand of Johnny Tapia. Right hand over the top is good there. The left hook, kind of a cuffing action there. We've been talking very seldom about Johnny Tapia's right hand since the 2nd round. He's gone back to what got him a lot of the success, the left hand, starting everything with the left hand and not loading up with the right hand.
Willie Salazar coming in here off that win over Romero had some confidence and felt he might be able to handle the style of Johnny Tapia, but in the last several rounds especially, it has been very difficult for Salazar. He's been pursued by Tapia primarily, has not been able to counterpunch as well as he might, and has been taking a lot of shots.
And Tapia not making the mistakes, leaving the natural openings that Salazar needs. And Tapia right on him. He's winning the battle of the jabs. He's intense right in Salazar's face. And this is a very stern test for Salazar, who was game, but now being knocked around. And he got a break there with Tapia falling down.
And appropriately, Raul Caiz had to wipe Tapia's gloves off. There's the left hook. Tapia feels it, doesn't he, Dave?
Yeah, he was charging there. He sensed something could happen.
He is like a pitcher that's in his rhythm. There's not much that he doesn't think he can do in this ring. And I would turn to Oscar De La Hoya again and remind you of a comment you made, which things have changed. You said Tapia was going for big knockout punches before, but that changed about 2 or 3 rounds ago when he started putting punches together.
It is changing now. He's putting his combinations together, which is very smart from Tapia. He knows that with those power punches, he's not able to connect and land a good shot to knock him out. So he's going back to his combinations and trying to win this fight in a good decision.
Boy, he's doing it right now, isn't he?
And you sense the rhythm. Off the jab, that was a vicious would-be left hook that didn't quite get in, but the timing was exquisite right off the jab. Tapia thinking the hook downstairs off the jab.
Now, he had some tough defenses. Ricardo Vargas, it was a life-and-death struggle and ended in a technical draw. Many thought Arthur Johnson could have gotten the decision in July against Tapia. It was a very close fight, and in Albuquerque, Tapia won in 12 rounds. So he has not had, he's had a couple of tough defenses since he won his title. But in this one, make no mistake about it, he's making a point.
He's going back to the discipline that got him where he is now. And it's interesting that a fighter would have so many problems, as are documented in the ring, with a 32-0 record.
And outside the ring as well, the drug and alcohol problems, was arrested for assaulting his wife. And they've worked through that struggle as well. Never boring around Johnny Tapia, that I can assure you. And it sure isn't boring in the ring as he goes after Willie Salazar again. And he leans down to Sugar Ray Leonard at ringside, and they give each other a little pep talk.
It would be interesting to see what would happen if the fans chanted his name in round 9.
You're doing good, Johnny. You're doing good, baby.
Well, Tapia nailed Salazar and decides to go after it. When he comes up short, falls down and is stopped there. He had gotten a good right hand in on Salazar, so we'll see if he goes back to that. Another good one there. Salazar landing a counter as Tapia was thinking about trying to go downstairs, and Tapia keeps on coming. He has been in Salazar's face from the opening round.
And I think, Dave, the difference there, and Oscar alluded to it, is the fact that he's throwing combinations. He's really started to do that again.
And that's a good reason he has not been countered.
So we roll on into round 9. Johnny Tapia in the black trunks, and in the blue trunks with the gold trim, it is Willie Salazar. Salazar's power has really gone down markedly in the last 3 or 4 rounds. Not throwing much with conviction.
Some of the steam has been taken out. And I'd like to pick up on a point made earlier about how if Johnny starts hearing the crowd here and they're starting to get into it, we're going to see him speed it up a couple of notches here and get into that cyclone mode.
And he was waving his hand to get them interested, and they started a little bit of a reaction. Good hook, double hook by Johnny Tapia.
Some fighters talk about the fact that they like to tune the emotion of the crowd out and focus on the job, but there may not be many fighters as much as Johnny Tapia who depends on the crowd.
And I'll tell you what, the effect of his punches is being seen and felt. Willie Salazar has lumps all around both eyes. He was cut over the right eye when rounds ago there was a clash of heads that was ruled intentional by Raul Caiz, and Tapia had a point deducted. But there are lots of lumps around both eyes because of legal punches that Tapia has landed.
He really landed a tremendous left hook earlier in this round, and some big bombs by him here. And he He continues to use the jab. He knows he needs to do it off the jab.
And this is a fight in which Johnny Tapia has shown some of his defensive skills as well. And Oscar, not many punches have gotten through that defense against Tapia.
It surprises me because Johnny Tapia was a fighter before that just kept on throwing punches till he gets a knockout. And right now he's using more defense, more offense, and he looks excellent to me right now at this point.
Let's give Willie Salazar credit for toughness. He has taken some shots from Tapia.
He's hanging in there hoping that right-hand counter opens up for him.
Now, we broadcast the fight that he had against Jesse Miranda, and it was really an excellent performance by him in winning over 10 rounds. And, of course, he also beat Paul Rios in Las Vegas. But this is even better because it's against a better opponent.
With more at stake and really against a guy who comes in here with some higher credentials and could get his attention early.
And Tapia is dominating these rounds. He's not just winning them. He is dominating these rounds. Big hook. That shook Salazar. He's in trouble. He wobbles back to his corner at the bell.
If you see that halfway through a round, we would not see the end of that round. He really found something there. This could be the beginning of the end.
They're going to stop it. It is over. The ring doctor says he has seen enough.
Give it one more round, doctor. Give it one more round.
They're asking for another round, but they won't get it. It is over. Johnny Tapia has won on a TKO. And there is Sugar Ray Leonard embracing Johnny Tapia, and Larry Goosen, his trainer, the other part of that team, lift him. And I tell you, and I turn to Oscar De La Hoya for his opinion, I have never seen Johnny Tapia any better than that. I've seen him close at that level, but never better.
Johnny Tapia was on his game plan tonight. He was an excellent fighter. He did his homework for this fight, and he looked great.
And against a man who, after all, just beat Danny Romero, a very, very fine fighter, and a man often compared to and thought of in a matchup with Johnny Tapia. So this was a guy who was coming in with confidence, a guy who had gotten a big win despite the losses he had.
It was a very good win for Johnny Tapia. Gives him more confidence to go up against Danny Romero in the near future.
All right, we'll see if that one will come to fruition. Now, we talked a little bit about Sugar Ray Leonard and his role here, which is almost spiritual, if you will. There's Sugar Ray at ringside. He's actually talking to and motioning to Johnny Tapia. And you know what, Oscar, I don't know if you'll agree with me. I think Tapia was watching him a lot.
I think he was. He was trying to pick up different moves from Sugar Ray Leonard. He was kind of like telling him what to do, what punches to throw, and they worked.
And there was some cheerleading by Johnny Tapia, and some of that was directed at Ray Leonard. This action, the hook from Johnny Tapia, that was the one that got Salazar in lots of trouble. Then he got him against the ropes, and as Dave pointed out, in the middle of a round, that might have been the kind of action that stopped the fight. It was ultimately stopped in between rounds. Johnny Tapia gets a win, his 33rd as a pro, and he defends once again his WBO Super Bantamweight title. And Michael Buffer's in the center of the ring.
Ladies and gentlemen, acting on the advice of ringside physician Dr. Robert Carnes, referee Raul Caiz calls a halt to the bout. The official time, it comes at the end of round number 9. The winner by knockout victory, and still the undefeated WBO Junior Bantamweight Champion of the World, the babyface assassin Johnny Tapia.
So it's official. Johnny Tapia wins, and I mean he wins in impressive fashion. One of his best wins, period. And upcoming, of course, we want to remind you that our main event, that is Azuma Nelson, two-time world champion, a champion in two-weight divisions, a 37-year-old coming in here off an 18-month layoff. He has beaten Gabriel Ellis once before. He firmly believes he can do it again. We'll find out in just a little bit. But what a beautiful hors d'oeuvre to that championship was the terrific fight between Johnny Tapia and Willie Salazar. And if it was one-sided, it was still fun to watch just for the artistry that Tapia presented. Dave Bontempo's up in the ring with Johnny. Take it away, Dave.
Okay, thanks, Al. Johnny, seemed like as soon as you stopped loading up and really went to the left hand, you dominated this fight. When did you sense it turning for you?
Well, first of all, I'd like to give a lot of thanks to the Lord and the best promoter in the world, and that's Bob Arum for getting me here.
Okay, how about the left hand in this fight for you?
It was just working terrific. I heard Sugar Ray Leonard tell me, hit him to the body, go to the left, go to the right, and that's what I did, and I ended up stopping.
Well, let's get a little comment from Ray over here. Ray, the manager. What did you see in there? What were you telling Johnny? What did you see?
Well, Salazar was a tough guy and very durable, very resilient, and I want him to go to the body a lot more. And he used his left jab. His left jab is very impressive and very effective. And that's what he did. A great fight.
All right, Johnny, we had seen in the Romero fight that the right hands that Salazar got in, were you cautious of that? You seem like you took it away by not giving him that countering shot.
That's the first thing I tried doing, is not giving him that shot. Sugar Ray would tell me, well, the man would tell me move to my right. So when I did that, I go to the body under and over. Everything worked out terrific for me. I'm so appreciative to have Sugar Ray in my corner.
Well, you fought well all the time generally, but do you think this is one of your more complete performances?
No, because it took me like 5 rounds to warm up, and then because of the air. But other than that, we would have got it out a long time ago.
All right, quickly before we wrap here, Ray, what do you see what's down the line for Johnny?
Well, I said we want Danny Romero. I think that's a fight that the public wants to see, Alfred wants to see. It's a dynamite matchup.
All right, we'll see if that fight gets made. Let's take it back now to Al Bernstein.
Well, thank you, Dave. Johnny Tapia, he wants to get the last word in, and he usually does, but not this time. Thanks to Johnny and Sugar Ray Leonard. And Ray Leonard doing a little rebel rousing for the Danny Romero fight, which would be interesting. They talked about the body work of Johnny Tapia, which I believe is as good as there is in the lighter weight divisions. This is an example of it against Willie Salazar, and it helped him carve out this TKO victory, and an impressive victory it was.